Digital Foundry has done another comparison video, this time comparing Outriders, the demo for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S, and it seems like a similar picture is continuously being painted as we move forward. So get your popcorn ready because these comparison videos always have the funniest comments in the YouTube videos, in the Twitter feed that Digital Foundry puts out, basically because you have a lot of the console warriors going at it based off of really insignificant things in these games. But they did a comparison between PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles, and I want to talk about it because there seems an interesting picture that's going forward here, an interesting scenario that continues to show once they do these comparisons, which could be telling as to how these consoles are going to perform in the future. But before we get into this any further, if you guys are new here and you enjoy what you see throughout this video, I'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button to help this channel grow, help grow this community so we can have some great conversations in the comments below. So jumping right into the results here, it's probably what most people expected because it's been pretty much the same in the last couple comparisons, like Ghost Recon, like the Division 2, and basically it is the Xbox Series X running at a higher resolution and having frame rates that generally are going between like 50 and 60, but averages in the high 50s. And then you have the PlayStation 5 running at a lower resolution and missing some graphical elements and running at 60 frames per second. And then you have the Xbox Series S running between 900p and 1440p, but using temporal anti-aliasing to upscale to 4K. In terms of the Xbox Series X, it's running between 1440p and 2088p as the DRS range. And then for the PlayStation 5, 1260p to 1800p. Now, besides that, the game itself seems to look pretty much the same graphically in terms of like the features that it has. However, the PlayStation 5 version is missing a interesting thing that I'm not sure if it's just a bug, maybe they have to patch it in, or they just didn't put it in order to keep the performance high, and that is the flag physics in the game. And to see what I'm talking about here is the video. Basically on the PlayStation 5, they have these flags where you can like run around and run into them, and they don't move. And then on the Xbox Series X, if I just jump ahead a little bit here, you can see that the physics are fully interactable and the flags moving and all that kind of stuff. And that's missing. Not really 100% sure what that means. Maybe that's just like a oversight from the developers when making the game, and they may patch that in later, or like I said, maybe they're just reducing some of the physics in the game in order to keep the performance up to par. Now, with all that being said, the results don't really like give a massive advantage to one version or the other. I've played the game on the Series X and the Series S, and I have to say my enjoyment of the game based off the way it performed and the way it looked was really good. I had a ton of fun with it, and I didn't really even realize or feel too many of those frame drops. On the Series X, like I could not tell if there was a frame drop, to be completely honest, but on the Series S, maybe here and there, but it still was a great experience playing on the Series S. What it's telling though is just basically going forward into this next generation as developers get more hands-on with the development kits for the Xbox. What are they going to do with the games? Are they going to give gamers that option to have maybe a lower resolution, maybe without ray tracing or something, and have a locked 60 frames per second? Or are they always going to try to push the console to its maximum and try to get the best resolution possible while trying to get that 60 frames per second, but you'll still have those dips within the 50s to 60s? Personally, I'm a big frame rate person, but if they are able to deliver a game in 4K with ray tracing, and the frame rate is generally like it's been with these games with the higher resolutions where it's like dropping like maybe like 55 to 60 here and there, I'll take that over lower like 1440p or something and then locked at 60. Because when you're playing, in reality, those frame rate drops, if they're so minimal and they're like few and far between when they actually happen, you're not going to really notice it. And you are going to notice, however, that resolution difference between playing on 4K on a 4K display or playing it in 1440p on a 4K display. But this tells a story going forward. I think it's really showing that with the Xbox Series X going forward into the next generation, The more powerful GPU is going to give the higher resolutions. The PlayStation 5, they're going to have to reduce the resolutions if they want to keep that 60 frames per second. And hopefully the optimization is going to be one of the main things that really gets the Series X versions to have that 4K ray tracing and locked at 60 FPS. That's my opinion. That's what I think when I see this stuff. I don't think it really gives a huge advantage to one or the other. I think in general, the game runs great both on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and even the Xbox Series S based off of the demo. And again, this is a demo. So by the time this game releases, I think it's the first week of April, there could be optimizations, there could be patches, the flag physics could be put into the PS5 version. There's so much stuff that could change between now and then. They called it a demo, but Outriders has been pretty vocal on Twitter and stuff, asking people for feedback and letting people know what they're updating and changing. But anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Let me know what you think about these comparisons and how they've been kind of similar recently, with the Series X having the higher resolutions and 50 to 60-ish frame rate, and then the PlayStation 5 having lower resolutions, but more of a locked 60 frames per second. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you are new here and you liked what you see throughout this video, I'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button to help this channel grow, help grow this community so we can have some great conversations in the comments below. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.